Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my darkest hour. It's so good to see you all. Or actually, I can't see you guys, but it's good to know you're out there. But if you guys can see me, hey, that's close enough. At least we're halfway there. You know what I mean? So I hope you guys are out there enjoying yourself, getting a chance to get out there and do some paranormal investigation. I hope having some fun with it. The weather's been great, or at least where I'm at. I mean, it was raining for a bit there, but us paranormal people really love the rain. Those heavy clouds that come in, it just kind of stirs things up. Get all that electricity in the air. Great opportunity to get out there and do some ghost work. Spend some time with all my paranormal friends and spend some time with my spirit friends. So moving right along, um, today on this show, I'm very excited to have my next guest, good friend. Been spending a lot of time with her, getting to know her even more. Um, really enjoying the energy. And when I say that, and you guys know when I say that I'm talking about that connection between people. We're all energy beings. We're all spirit beings. So in the paranormal world and the metaphysics world, we know about the energy that we have, the energy we send out, the energies that we receive. This person's got a great vibe, and the energy just seems to flow right through her. Another great thing about her is real excited to have her part of the University of Magic Test. You guys can go to Magic U and look it up, see all the classes, see what she's got to offer. She's a teacher as well, doing some wonderful stuff. I got to check out some of the Akashic Record stuff, which was great. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that in the near future. But let's go ahead and bring on my guest. And everybody, I am talking about the amazing Raven Wolfe. Everybody, let's go ahead and bring her on.
Hi.
Yay! Hi,
Yay.
Raven.
Hello, my dear friend. Thank you so much for having me join you.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was just time. I have so many people on my list, and had a little break there, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna target that for her. So let's get that going. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I do want to introduce you to my co-host Abby over here, who's always with me, my very spirited doll. And normally she's playing with the 360, the periscope that you've seen me bring out before. But today I gave her a REM pod, and she's been working it pretty good. She had it going 3 times. She would turn on and blink it off, to make sure we're ready for the show. So she's excited as well. So how you doing? How's everything going for you right now?
Really good. Life is just great right now. How about you?
Life is fantastic. It moves pretty quickly. I've been keeping myself so busy with all the stuff. It's just I'm just realizing, wow, we're heading into the middle of May, 5 months into this year already. And it's like, really? Didn't we just have
Yeah,
like Christmas, the end of the year just happened? It was just New Year's, right? And now we're like going to be June, 6 months. It's like,
it's
what's going on?
flying.
Is the world just going faster and we're just realizing it? It's like, whoa. Because and the faster it goes, I'll just be honest. I just feel so tired all the time. I was like, oh, cool. And I get it. I'm getting to that age where like, oh, I don't want to go out and have fun, and I don't want to stay home and take a nap, that kind of stuff. But it just seems like I just can't get there to keep up what's going on around.
Yeah, time just keeps spinning and spinning, and it feels like it was just January yesterday. So I understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the eclipse or just the energies of things that are happening in the world. It just seems like there's so much changes going on and everything. So that's my view on it. So let's start with you. Let's start, and I say this with everybody as much as possible. I love to start at the beginning because everybody has their own story. And whether the listeners out there, and over the years, I've had people email me and say, wow, that story the internet was so great. I had that same thing happen to me when I was a kid, or whatever the story was. Everyone's a little bit different, but sometimes the stories can be a little bit the same. And I encourage that because I want people to be able to understand what's going on with them, to be able to come out into the world and say, hey, I got this going on with me. Let's use it to all of my abilities. So with you, tell us the beginning, how you're psychic medium and everything, and you do all these wonderful things. how was it when you were a child? How did you first discover
So it was actually kind of a very complex situation. I was in junior high, and unfortunately, a girl died of really unfortunate circumstances. She was killed. And I had grown up in a very religious home, but that wasn't really open to mediumship and that kind of thing. But I started seeing her after she died. And she and I were not very close friends at all. In fact, she was kind of a bully. But right before she passed away, there was an act of kindness that she showed to me that made me think, well, maybe there's something going on in her life that I don't understand. And maybe I could be a little gentler and kinder to her circumstances. And then I came in the following week and found out that she had died, and they didn't know why. Well, it had turned out that a transient um, had killed her, and
this? Wow.
it started there, and then um, I would sleep in my parents' room because I started seeing more of the dead, and it never really stopped. And so I really thought about it, and I was like, well, what can I do with this? Because it's not going away. So I was like, well, let me start doing research and let me see how I can start helping other people. So that was the Kickstarter for the mediumship aspect of things. I dealt a little bit with the fae and fairies when I was a kid. I had a situation where I was taken into the fairy realms for a little bit,
Wow.
and came back as a child. So I've always had a very strong connection with them. And then I've just been studying and teaching and trying to help where I can. I've worked with all kinds of different people. So I love what I do. I'm passionate about it.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so we're gonna have to go back to that conversation you just said a minute ago. So when you were a child, you saw the girl, which makes a lot of sense. You start seeing. I saw strange things as a child, and I didn't know people didn't see that stuff. I'm seeing Indians walking through the living room and through the garage and stuff, and just I guess I must have been one of those trusting kids because I think about it now. I'm like, dude, those are like strangers, and I didn't freak out about it. But once again, we're connecting with energy. When something's menacing or bad, you can feel when it's menacing or bad. It kind of gives you that warning. But let's talk about. You say you spent some time in the Fey world where the fairies and stuff live, and this domain. Can you tell us about that? What was that like, if you can remember that?
That was just really interesting. We had an area where there were a lot of different little foresty type places, and as a kid, I liked to wander quite a bit. And I ended up wandering into this ring where fairies were, and I saw them as real as I see you or see any other person in front of me. And they were like, "Hey, we want to go ahead and show you our land." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think I was
Here that
about
goes.
what, 9 years old.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, about 9 years old. And I remember going there and being introduced to all kinds of different fairies and being given different kinds of flowers and different kinds of things, and it was shown like different places. Like there was this land where the trees were so beautiful and the flowers were so beautiful and the warmth there was just beautiful. Now, there were certain fae that are a little bit more mischievous, on the mischievous side, so they kind of kept me away from those sections, but I did see them, so I know what they look like.
Like little
um,
gangsters and stuff, like hanging out in corners. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you see these shows like that where the fairies kind of like people, but they're all kind of separated and like having their own world and like, oh, it's a human. What are they doing here? That kind of stuff. Because you know, I've heard stories of fairies before, and we all know as kids we always hear the stories about fairies and they're magical and they have wands and they grant wishes and stuff. It's like, sure, that sounds wonderful. But I know people from Europe that have encountered them before, and I guess there's different types of fairies or whatever. But some of them are not so friendly, can be a little aggressive. Somebody goes, "Well,
Yes.
you got to be careful because they bite." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, they can get aggressive like that. You know, if you're coming into their territory, they're very protective, and they're very cautious of humans because they don't know what humans' intentions are because we're so random, I guess."
Right. And it's interesting that you mentioned Europe because one of the encounters I had with them was in the Black Forest, the Black Mushroom Forest, because I have family that is throughout Europe area, and one of my aunts lived pretty close to that area at the time. And so when we were there, when we were 13, I got to see them again in a very different context. So that was kind of cool.
Well, that's awesome. Just to be able to go to the Black Forest period is like an amazing thing. You know, you're just like, whoa, this is like a magic forest, you know, enchanted, that kind of stuff. But then, in a lot of ways, most forests are. You know, nature's a pretty amazing thing, and the nature spirits are just everywhere. And you know, there was a time in my life where a lot of this stuff was just stories. You know, growing up as a kid, because I didn't see fairies when I was a kid, and I never really put much thought into them. I had a lot of when I started doing paranormal stuff, I started encountering aliens and weird alien things in our videos and photographs. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You know, and I'm just like, I'm just trying to do this, the ghost thing. You know, I want to keep it simple, just ghost spirits, yay. But aliens and like background shots, I'm like, what the hell is that thing over there? You know. And then we did a case where we were filming a TV show in I think 2010 or something. And sure enough, coming down the stairs, flying down the stairways where we had these cameras, uh, was a fairy. And I just kind of like, you know, everyone's like, Stefan, you got to come look at this. You got to look at this. Look at this. Rewind that. Go back. So we're watching this thing, you know, and it's kind of glowing because the infrared cameras, and it's coming down. And I thought it would look like a bug at first, but then we have the ability to frame by frame it. And I thought it was like a big cricket or something. Swear to God, it looked like Tinkerbell. It
Oh, wow.
it had legs. It looked like a little person, and it had wings. And I'm like looking for my brain's try to figure the outline of the cricket or the grasshopper out. I was like, okay, well, its legs should be going this way, but it's not. It's straight, totally. And I'm just like in denial, going, no, no, no. And then what's funny is in the video, it comes down the stairs and it stops right in front of our camera. And it was going to go into one of the kids' rooms and it backs up and it goes into the other room right in front of the camera. So I'm just like, all right, something just flew in there. Someone go in there and find it and see what it was. It was like a mosquito or something, just go, you know. And there was nothing bug wise in there or anything that could have done that. But one of my team members, who's our team photographer, Tara Mead, he's pretty well known. She goes there and sits on the bed and she's like, okay, I'll just sit in here for a while. I'm like, just hang out, talk to it, be nice, you know, because she noticed when she went in the bedroom, there's all these little glass fairies and trinkets because the little girl collects fairies, you know, all these different things are everywhere. I'm like, what the? You know, so obviously the fairy spirit was attracted to that and is a part of that. So it went in there. And we're watching the cameras with Tara sitting on the bed trying to talk to whatever's in there. And right by the bed, the foot of the bed, you see this little golden like light. We could see it on the camera, but Tara couldn't see it, which was amazing. But it just changed my perspective on something like that. It's like, wow, man, all this stuff that we were hearing about as being folklorish is really something that's happening somewhere or happened, you know, and we just take our time and patience and we can discover this thing. I think a lot of us are caught up in our world where we don't get the chance to, you know, experience something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I know for a fact that fairies are starting to show themselves even more to our reality, our realm right now. About 7 to 8 months ago, I was swimming And I was by myself. It was the middle of the night. I was talking to a friend of mine at the time, and all of a sudden, I see this sparkly light all of a sudden land right on the like wooden little banisters, and it was a fairy. It was like a male fairy. I had never seen one quite like this, and he was just kicking his legs back and forth. And I was sitting there going, "Why am I seeing you? Like, what? Why am I connect? Like, whoa!" And he was like, "Well, I came to bring you a gift." And I was like, "Well, what is the gift?" And he's like, "You'll find out." And I remember seeing a flash. And then I asked him if I could take a picture of him. And because fairies don't really like their pictures taken very
Of
often,
course.
from what I understand. But he let me, and I got an amazing photo of him. Like, it's pretty clear cut, but it's very bright, but you can see the wings, you can see the legs. Um, and I was like, I wonder if the veil is just thinning a lot more than the usual amount to where they're coming through more. So I almost wonder if that's going to be more of a recurring thing for those of us that are doing investigations and that kind of thing.
That's interesting. I mean, just the randomness of them showing up. It's like, oh, I've come to bring you a gift. It was like, well, how did you know I was here? And what is the gift?
Hmm.
You know,
Well, and
uh,
that's what my question was what is the gift? And I think it was like opening doorways for me to be able to come to LA. I think that was the gift.
that's cool. So this picture was taken in Arizona then.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Hmm.
Ah, so that's pretty cool. Now, when you saw the fairy, the dude fairy, what uh, what did exactly did it look like? I know you saw bright light because I've seen the picture. You showed me the picture before, which is
Hmm.
amazing. It's kind of dark out. It's like dusk or whatever, and all of a sudden there's this like really bright thing up there. It's like, well, what is that? You know, what was he wearing?
It was interesting because he had almost like a soft linen light blue outfit that was on him that fit him perfectly, and he had like a brown, almost like a brown belt that covered his mid area, and then he had like little tools and things that were in his pockets that you could see that they were really tiny, and he had a book in his left hand, which was pretty cool. And he was just kind of looking through it. And I don't know what was in the book because he didn't show me. But he
Of
was
course.
looking through it when he first got there. And his hair was like a golden brown but very long, long hair. And I would almost say he was more because I've seen different kinds of fairies. This one was more like, you know how sometimes there are fairies that are very much nature based, that are very much wild. I feel
Yes.
like this one was not more of the wild, but more of a messenger from one of the other fae realms that I dealt with as a child. So yeah.
So a little bit more civilized, more modernish. That's
What we would consider modernish or civilized, and he had blue eyes. He had
really
gorgeous
cool.
crystal blue eyes.
So obviously he must know you because he came to you and trusted you. So that's a big part of it because they don't trust a lot of people. Like we were talking about in the beginning. And that's why I was asking what did he look like because when I saw the fairy, it was a female, total female, and she was wearing clothes. And I always
Oh
thought, I'm
wow.
like, how is this possible? It's like, where the hell are they getting their clothes from? Do they have like fairy malls or something? Do they have a fairy Amazon? Where are
They
they getting it from? And I saw a video somebody sent me of another one, and this thing had like pants on, and it was total bipedal, and you could see his legs flying as he's moving, and he was all dressed up. It's like, where did they get this stuff? I mean, it's just these are the things that we don't really think about. just the fact that I had to accept that, okay, there's fairies. I can't deny it. I accepted that and moved on. But now the questions come. Well, where do they get their shoes from? Where did he get his tools from? Is there a fairy Walmart? I mean,
That's so funny. I mean, when I went over to the other realm side, it's kind of interesting because when he did come to me, I didn't really recognize him at first, but there was like some kind of energetic exchange to where I had a flashback to where when I was a child and I was walking through that space where I was introduced to him through a bookkeeper, like somebody who writes down all the knowledge. And I did see a couple of the different fairies like using thread and needles and actually hand making their clothes from the different plants and things that they had out there. So I didn't really see a whole lot of it, but I did see some of it. So I did see them actually making the clothes.
wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't think about that. But then again, I've seen videos of Keebler elves making cookies, so I guess anything's really possible. You know,
Yeah.
they have their own society and their own thing. They're not just some kind of animal. They're highly evolved beings. In a lot of ways, they're way more evolved than we are. I think we're still kind of new and trying to figure it out, obviously. And they're on the spirit realm. They're in this magical energy based world that is just so much purer than what we're used to. It's truly an amazing thing.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I mean, they definitely are far more advanced in a lot of things, as far as like even just in how they do things from a nature-based way of doing things, like even with the foods and the things that they eat and they create. It's very different than what we do.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. At least you got a chance to experience that and learn a little bit more about that. I love learning about different cultures and stuff, and that's bringing into a totally different culture that most people don't get to experience. So that's awesome. So after all this is happening and you're learning about your abilities, what do you do when you start realizing you have this ability to see spirits and get involved with them? What's your first step? Do you tell your parents and they're like, oh, just your invisible friend? It's like, no.
So my parents were very much against seeing those kinds of things. And so it was a little bit of a tough situation because I would see them everywhere. And I didn't really have anybody at the time to turn to ask questions to in that regard because the belief system that I grew up in didn't allow for these kinds of things. So I started doing research, and watching YouTube videos and found different places to learn different pieces of information. And then finally, as I got older, started connecting with people who could help me to understand what to do with these things. So, yeah.
See, that's awesome. You kind of get you connected with the people who have the same kind of experiences or know a little bit more about it. I was lucky. I had a mom that was way into the whole spiritual movement when it kind of revamped up in the 70s and stuff. So I grew up with that. So she helped me out with a lot of that stuff, and all her friends were amazing. Her best friend was this witch from the 70s who was super nice, super awesome, and her husband owned a big magic store. So I used to love to go down to their store, and we'd always play around. That's where I got my first set of tarot cards. I have the rider deck, but I had the
Oh,
little
cool.
tiny one, the little itty bitty one, you kind of the pocket deck, so you can take it places. And I learned on that, and I still have that deck today, so it's pretty amazing how it can last that long. But just had a great chance to learn from a lot of great people over the years. So what about you? How did you start fine tuning your skills? How would you start testing people, asking people if you could read them? Like, what was your next step?
So, when it came to the mediumship thing and when it came to metaphysics in general, Um, as I said, I had to start kind of like looking for instructions on how to do different things. I was part of an open coven in Hawaii for
Cool.
about 2 years. So I started out with learning about different traditions and different walks and trying to kind of figure out like where my path kind of fit into it. And we celebrated the different solstices of the year, and they did all kinds of different classes, but some of it just didn't really fit me at the time. So um, I went from what some would call Wicca into a more thought form of paganism. So paganism being an open umbrella branch of all things that are metaphysical. And so since then, I've just been studying with different teachers and working with different teachers. I started doing tarot readings when I was about, oh my goodness, what age was I? I'm 40 now, so I have to think. I was about 16 years old. I started doing readings. And then with the mediumship thing, that's just an ability that like naturally really started moving really fast after that girl passed away. And I had classmates and people that kind of practiced different things. So I got little tidbits of information in different areas. Um, and I kind of just formulated, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. Um, and then when I got out of college, um, I started working at a metaphysical store in Utah as a medium. And started to learn about the paranormal community when I was in Utah. So everything started in metaphysics for me, although my brother and I experienced quite a few paranormal things as children. But I was invited to go ahead and be a reader at one of the paranormal conferences, and I was like, "What's paranormal?" and and my friends were like, "Well, come check it out. Come on an investigation with us." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that'd be really cool." So I got introduced to the paranormal through the store that I worked at with the connections that I had. I met Scott Grunwald at the time. He was one of the first people I met in the metaphysical world, and he was like, "Come with us to the Emperor's Theater," and it was so cool. It was in October, and I was seeing these ghosts, and it was just kind of clicking and making things really easy for me. And they were like, "Have you ever thought about being on a paranormal team?" And I was like, "Not really, but that's cool." So I started working with different teams in Utah. And some of the teams worked for me, and some of them didn't, which is normal. And I finally did made the decision that I wanted to work as a medium with all paranormal teams. Um, that I didn't want to specifically be with a specific team as a medium because I wanted to be able to travel and experience different locations and be able to help people in different ways. And so now I work with different teams throughout the United States and outside of the United States now on occasion to do mediumship either remotely or I go to the location if they ask me to. So that's how the paranormal kind of came into my mediumship world and how things kind of like shifted and changed. And I mean, I do tarot readings, I do Reiki, I do all kinds of, I do mediumship, I do tea leaf readings, but it's because I studied with different teachers in different places. And it's just kind of cool. I guess you could say I'm kind of like a kitchen sink, like a smorgasbord of different kinds of crafts all in one.
That's exactly what you should be. You know, not everybody is the same. Everyone should tailor their gifts and what they want to do to fit themselves. You know, I see a lot of these teams trying to have those puzzle pieces that fit perfectly in their little things. And it's like, well, no, you should have people that have different abilities and you could bring different people in. And I've been investigating the paranormal for over 30 years. So it's like I understand some of that thinking like that, but over the years I've realized, well, if I do this or if I change this up a little bit, you know, it would be different. I used to go into a paranormal investigation with 12 people. Yeah, it's a lot of people, a lot of energy in a house. And we're doing a haunted apartment. It's almost impossible. So I got smarter and I started setting up my team. I would do a preliminary walkthrough and using my abilities, my senses, and knowing what we're dealing with. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to need. I'm going to need him and her, and I'm going to need to bring in this psychic and this other. And we'll do a walkthrough. Just tailor it to the tools that I need. Because we don't need to have overkill going unless we're doing like a big castle or something. I need a lot of people covering ground, sure. But I just tailor it to what I need because I can always go back to the same place and investigate again with a different set of people, because so I can get the different variances, and I come to that conclusion over many years of experience. And I teach about it on University Magicus for those who are watching the show. I could tell you all the things that I have done wrong, and I can tell you all the things that I do now, and I can tell you about all the things that I want to do. So go ahead and join us at University of Magicus. You can go to magicu.org, and you can even sign up for Raven's classes as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. You're joining the paranormal team. You're seeing what's going on out there. You're connecting with the spirits. As far as your practices go and the things that you're working on for developing your skills, what did you mainly focus on? Like you said, you were like a buffet of different things, And I'm the same way. I'm a scoop of this here, a scoop of that there, just whatever really works for me, and I just use it all the time. But I had you to start deciding what direction you wanted to go.
Well, I think for me, it was like, what do these individual teams need help with? Like, what are they asking me to help with? And how can I develop those skill sets a little bit further? And then on a personal level, I just wanted to learn about everything. So I did like tea leaf readings. I did, started to learn about how to do bone readings. I started, just diving into everything that I could think of because I was thinking, I really want to be able to help people to the best of my capacity. And for the things that I can't help them with, well, the great thing about our community with Magic U is I'm able to connect them with other people like you or like Patty or Sebastian or whoever it might be that can help them with whatever resource of information that I don't have. And so, my whole thing right now is like sometimes I'll have people wanting me to go in with pendulums. So I'll bring in my
Hmm.
pendulum sometimes. Sometimes they'll be like, can you do a walkthrough of this house and just tell us what you or this location and tell us what you pick up spiritually? Okay, so I'll walk through the space and whatever visions I'm given, I just let them know, hey, this is what I'm seeing in this location or I'm feeling. I have had teams that have contacted me for missing persons as well, from remote viewing. So they would ask if I would look at a certain situation. They'd send me one picture or they would send me no picture. And I would sit down and take some time and do some meditating. And then I would go ahead and give that specific team that was working with a family on a missing person case. And usually, unfortunately, in these situations, they're children, um, for the ones that I had been helping with. And so I would go through a meditation, give them what I was getting, and then they'd be able to use that for whatever it is that they needed. And so that's something that I'm still open to doing. It's interesting because I'm a mom myself. So children are very close to my heart in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. So, um, but I kind of just look at what do they need and how can I enhance those skill sets? What classes can I take? What techniques can I learn? Who can I go to learn about this specific thing if I don't know what I'm doing? For example, some of the paranormal gear. Um, I'm learning a lot about the paranormal gear from you. Like I've seen different ones. I've used different ones. I've used Echovox. I've used K2s. I've used REM pods. I've used the little balls. I've, as tools for other people who would like to be able to use those, but I'm consistently learning new things every time I go to your classes, or I talk to you, or I talk to others. So um, I think it's fair to say when it comes to those skill sets, I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly looking for new information so that I can be of more use. And the biggest thing for me is authenticity. So if I don't know a piece of information, or I'm not being given a piece of information by spirit, then um, I'm going to do everything within my power to connect a individual or a group with the people that can help them. I'm now getting into haunted dolls because I have three. I used to be afraid of them. When I was a child, my grandmother had a whole bunch of porcelain dolls, and they were very active. And there were a couple that were pretty trickstery with my brother and I when we were
Mm.
kids. And now I have three of them. Two of them are from Romania because I went to Romania for
Ah,
16 days. And then one of them is from Arizona, and her name is Anastasia. And
great name.
yeah, and she moves her head back and forth, and she will make things light up. So I'm just starting to more so work with her now that I have her back from Arizona. So we'll see what develops there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like spirited dolls. Spirit objects are pretty cool most of the time. Once again, you can tell if the energy from something is good or if it's malevolent. You know, I've got Abby here, and she's super sweet, super nice. She's always got my back, and it's all good. But I do have an external garage where there are haunted objects in there that I will not bring into the house that I've had to remove from places. You know, and everyone's like, well, "Why don't you just sell it or something?" I'm like, "No, you don't just do that. You don't take a malevolent object and just sell it to somebody." Like the whole divot box thing. That guy found that antique divot box and sold it on eBay, and look at the chaos that caused. There's movies about it now. But I try to give them their space, the ones out there, and try to make them as comfortable as possible and let them know. But you know, I don't want that kind of trouble in the house because it's not that it's evil or anything. It's not Hollywood land. It's more like you know he might be bored. He might be mischievous. He might start doing stuff. Maybe the lights are gonna get messed up. Maybe my internet's gonna go. I don't know. And they do that stuff electronically because in my garage, that's where we park our cars and stuff. And there's always issues with the battery of each car. This is happening. That's happening. The garage door opener is not working right. And it's just like I know it's him because when something happens, when you get that first impression, which is your psychic impression of like, oh, okay, it's always goes right back to him. And he's just sitting there. He's just staring at me. I'm like, really, dude? Really? Right now? And I bring the spirit box out there and I'll just have like a one-on-one and we'll talk back and forth and stuff. I was trying to tell him I wanted to send him to a different place, maybe where people could see him on display and he could experience more people, and they would appreciate it. And he might not, he wouldn't be as lonely. And he said he wasn't ready to go yet. So I'm like, all right, whatever. As long as he's all good, then that's just fine. But yeah, I try to keep it like that. I try to keep him, you know, I respect them. I don't disrespect them. I don't tell them they're bad or whatever. It's just like, hey man, I get it. You're doing your thing, but you're gonna do it out here and not in there. So I try to keep those boundaries.
Yeah, that's a new so that's kind of a fun new thing for me, is understanding how, like, so I always with different objects, like I always believe that there's a living connection, there's a living vibration with those things. And um it's interesting because I'm starting to hear more about different haunted objects outside of dolls and that kind of thing. And I'm hearing the stories, and I find those so fascinating. I haven't uh, had an encounter with a haunted object outside of a doll as of yet. But like the stories are just so interesting, and it'll be I'm hoping to kind of like dive into that more and understand more about those things as time goes on.
Cool. Well, when you come out here, maybe I'll introduce you to him.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I'd
get,
love that.
see what he's all about, and because he's not really, I say malevolent, but he's not really malevolent, more like a trickster. I was on an extreme haunting case, and it was pretty bad. And you got to go through all the steps to see, okay, this spirit over here, this is not your problem because this is grandma. Grandma's coming to visit you because she's worried about you. Okay, over here we got something different. These people were being terrorized by something really dark. And then I came across this guy in the midst of all this stuff, and he was a problem too, but he wasn't like the problem. He was just like a prankster, kind of feeding the fire a little bit. So I'm like, all right, dude, I got to take you out of here. So you're gonna come home, and I brought him to our studio where we film a show that we do, and that was okay for a little while, but then things started getting out of control there, so I had to take him away from there. So maybe you can get more of a story out of him when you come down. When you come
That would
down for
be
the
so
Paracon,
cool.
you and Sean can stay here.
Love
You guys
that.
can just
I
stay
would
with
love
us, and
that.
I'll just go, hey, these are my spirit friends over here. Hey, check it out. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd be totally down for that because new experiences mean new patterns of growth and learning. So I'd be open to
That's
that.
right. The adventure continues.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So what's on the horizon for you? I know you have the desert medium thing going on. Tell us a little bit about that and the direction that you're going into.
So, the Desert Medium LLC is that's me. Yay. Um, that's me. I do mediumship, I do readings, I go to different locations and work with different teams, and I'm really, really, really excited because I'm going to be going and joining the Gettysburg Bash that's happening in July from the 24th. No, no, no. I'm leaving the 24th. I think it starts on the 26th and goes through the 28th, but I'll be there till August 2nd. Um, and I'm really excited because I'm going to be venting out there and I'm going to be going on some paranormal fun investigations out there. I'm going to be teaching more classes through the University of Magicus, of course. I do teach private one-on-one sessions with clients, so that's kind of fun. I am working with a few different people on a few different little fun filming things, so that's kind of neat. But the biggest thing is going to different haunted locations here in the area so I can expand through that, and then going back to Salem at some point and doing more fun witchy adventures. I am working on putting together a retreat, but that probably won't be until next year. But that's pretty much what I have going on for right now. And then October is going to be a super busy month as well. I'm going to be going to a few paranormal conferences and events and teaching and all the good stuff.
Nice. That would keep you busy. I mean, that would be fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to go to Salem in September?
I am looking at seeing what kind of possibility there might be for that. I did see the Paracon that's happening out there, so I'm going to see if that's an option to jump on board with, which would be fun.
Salem Paracon's cool, but we have the Vampire Ball coming up in Salem in September.
Oh, the vampire ball. Yeah, if I can come out there in September for that, I definitely 100% will. I would not want to miss that for the world.
Yeah.
Any of the vampire ball events are tons of fun to go to.
Yes. Yes, they are. I didn't see you at the last one though. You weren't there during my inauguration.
No, and I'm so sorry for that. I was in Arizona at the time. I was in the process of closing up my old
Oh,
place.
that's right. You're moving. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I was closing up my old place so that I could move out here. And I was thinking about you though, because I know that your birthday was around then too. So I'm sorry I missed that.
That's all right. I'll have more, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh,
From
yeah.
what I can tell, I'm going to have at least 12 more, so whatever.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So I can't wait to get you down here to check this stuff out. Glad you're doing a lot more Paracons and stuff. I will see you up here for my Paracon in Ventura, the Pacific Coast Paracon. Everybody, you can go to pacificcoastparacon.com. Sign up and get your tickets. I know the Patty Seance is almost sold out because it sells out every year because she's awesome. And you guys know Patty, so definitely going to be a lot of fun. Have to get you to the theater. I know we've been talking about getting you in there a few times so you can visit my spirit friends down there at the theater who are super awesome. I just love being down there hanging out with them. They're super cool and super funny. Like some of those guys have such ridiculous sense of humor and they mess with people and freak people out. And it's just so funny. I'm like, really, dude? You don't have to do that. That guy's freaking out right now. But it happens, and they're a lot of fun. So, and they get excited. Since I started doing the Paracons for the past few years, they look forward to that time of year because they get excited because people come to see them, and it's like their celebration. Uh-oh, fire department, not good. But
Oh,
yeah, they're looking forward to it. I started doing this thing called the Paranormal Music Party, and I would go there and I would just, play music through the speakers and their style of music from the different eras of the place, and they just have a lot of fun. So I think you'll enjoy those guys.
I'm excited for that opportunity. I think that will be tons of fun. I have not had the opportunity in that context to where like there's been music that's been played for them and then the activities that happen. So that should be really cool to see how they interact with us then.
It was cool because we had the SLS camera, the stick figure camera that does all this stuff, and we were able to see them like dancing and stuff. One guy appeared right in front of us, and there's like a little gate, a little railing here by the stage, and he's like leaning on the stage, and he's just like snapping his fingers like this to some like boogie woogie music. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was so cool. But as long as they're having fun, I'm having fun, and that's what it's all about. I want the spirits to enjoy themselves because then I'm
That's
enjoying
what it's
myself.
all about.
So, what about for your classes? What do you got coming up for the university?
So, we just did a flower reading course. Um, there's such an array of different kinds of classes that I've submitted. I'm not entirely sure which one they're gonna have me do next. But it will definitely be fun. And I'm working on a list of more classes to go ahead and submit to teach. But I think there might be another class I'm doing towards the end of this month. We'll see. But if anybody is interested, they can always look on the Magic U site to see what's available.
Cool. That way they can go ahead and sign up and be a part of that. It's not expensive. It's really perfect. I think people. That's why I see so many of the same people all the time. There's like the class comes together, and over the past couple of years of us doing it, I think we all become more of like a family thing. So we see each other on the days of the classes. With, hey, how was that thing you went to? Tell us about that. Blah blah blah. And then we get into the class and stuff. It's really great. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a community. It's not just some random class that's just off in the distance somewhere in computer land. It's like, no, we're live. We're talking. You have a question, ask me now. I will tell you the answers right now. And if you need more definition, you can email me and I will write the answers back to you, as soon as I can. And we share pictures and videos and all kinds of stuff. And I think that's a big part of it. It helps us really get into the understanding of what's going on. I see some
Definitely.
online teachers and they just do their thing and get out of there and they don't care. But we actually get into it and we share the community together. Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to your classes. Hoping to see more of things that you got going, of course. I know you said you have those filming projects coming up and everything. Let us know about that. If you got something to promote, This is a great format to promote on. I always have you on the show so you can promote more stuff. Um, keep us in the loop. Let us know what's going on with you, and we'll be glad to try to do everything we can to make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really am looking forward to the different things that are coming up and going to more of your classes too. And I would definitely agree. Like our classes aren't just about the classes, it's about community and helping each other with growth and learning. And the cool thing about the classes is even if you aren't live, you can purchase one of the classes and watch the replays if you can't make it to the lives. So and if there's anything I can do to show support, let me know. Reach out to me because you're amazing and I appreciate you tremendously for everything.
Thanks, Raven. I appreciate it. I'm glad that we met and we became friends. That's really cool. I'm glad to have really cool friends. You're my cool friend addition, so I'm very proud of that.
Yay. Yeah, I feel the same about you. I think I'm very, very happy that, in fact, I remember the first time that I met you. It was very briefly, but it was in Arizona at Vulture City Paracon, where I kind of crossed paths with you. And that's actually where, actually, I heard about Patty when I was in Las Vegas, but I really connected with Patty and then met you briefly at that Vulture City Paracon. So I'm super grateful to have friends like you in my life. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much. All right, we're gonna have to get ready to wrap here because I have to do the promos and stuff. But thanks for joining us on the show. It's been a pleasure. We'll keep in touch, and like I said, when you come out here for the Paracon, you and Sean are free to stay here. That's never going to be a problem. So we're always glad to have you. And we're right by the beach, so it's really cool.
Yay. That would be awesome. Thank you.
Of course. All right, so we're going to move on, and we will talk to you soon. Oh, and at the bottom, we had the way you can get a hold of her, of course, right there. Linktree / Raven Wolf TDM. What does the TDM stand for? The
The
Desert Medium.
desert
Okay, never
medium.
mind. Yeah, see? I'm a little bit slow, but hey, I figured it out. I'm good at that. All right, reach out to her, let her know what's going on. Yeah, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon, Raven.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. That has been awesome experience to spend some time with my good friend Raven. Really happy she's coming out here to California permanently, or for now. Who knows what the future endeavors might hold? Anything's possible, but I get to learn a little bit more about her and do some more things with her. Bring her to the Paracon. You guys can come and join us. Pacific Coast Paracon coming up at the Ventura Theater in Ventura, California, right here on the coast, one block away from the beach. You can even take a break for the Paragon, go down to the beach, put your feet in the water, and come back for the seance or for the actual investigation. You will be able to investigate the world famous Majestic Ventura Theater with me, Patty Negri, Father Sebastian. Everybody who's going to be there with us is going to be amazing. And Bender, who's always incredible. Tara Mead, Van Doren, Figueredo. Those of you who want to get more of Brian Clune's books, he's bringing more books to sell this year because he keeps running out of them every time we have the Paracon. It's going to be amazing. This year, David Ullman, my good friend David Ullman that we talk about. He's always, we're always talking about him, having him on the show and stuff like that, having a good time. And right now, he's going to come down and he's going to do talk a little bit about the experience of his house. And don't forget to check out his movie, House at the End of the Drive. And that is about the Sharon Tate murders and everything, which happens to be where his house is. So don't forget, sign up for that. Come see us. We will be there. Hope to see you guys. If you have any questions for me or anything regarding the show, you can always reach me at mydarkesthourradio@gmail.com. Yes, I know it's radio. It's no longer just My Darkest Hour because I had to use radio at the time because the band didn't want me using their email, which is fine. Totally understand. But I'll have to get a new one and we'll change that up and it'll be the My Darkest Hour podcast, which is modern. Again, radio was a thing. That was so long ago. We don't even do that anymore. We stream now, right? Anyway, that's going to be it for my darkest hour. We will see you guys next time right here. Hope you guys get out a chance to go out there and do some investigation. If you guys get out there to do some investigations, make sure you investigate safe. Don't want out getting out there being getting in trouble. Abandoned buildings, falling down wells, never good. Investigate with somebody, or at least let someone know you're at. In case you don't come back in time, they can send the help wagon to come get you. So that's going to be it. And we will see you guys next time right here on My Darkest Hour.